Today we're going to be looking at a summary of using all the sine, cosine, and tangent formulas to find any side or any angle. So to summarize, we'll summarize everything uh, quickly. Okay, so all our formulas. Okay, so tangent of an angle, we'll say theta equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, cosine theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, and sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So, okay, last day looking here, we looked at finding the adjacent and opposite sides. Now, I guess before we do a summary, we should probably do finding the hypotenuse. So, the formula for finding the hypotenuse . Okay, so if you're given the adjacent side, sorry, let's spell it right here. Okay, so if we're given the adjacent side, we use cosine. So the formula for hypotenuse would be hypotenuse equals the adjacent side divided by the cosine of the angle. Okay, if you're given the opposite side, okay, you would use sine. So that would be the hypotenuse would equal the opposite side divided by the sine of the angle. Okay, so let's look at a couple examples here. Okay. Okay. So we'll draw a triangle first. Okay, so we want to find the hypotenuse side length. So let's say I've got this angle here. We'll call it angle A. And let's say that that is 28 degrees. And we got this side here is 20 meters. And we want to find this side X. Okay, so we have to identify whether it's going to be an opposite or adjacent to the angle. So we have to identify our sides first. So if we're going to do that, we look at it, okay, well, this is our opposite side. This is our hypotenuse. So that means we're using opposite and hypotenuse. That's this one. So we're going to go H equals the opposite side over the sine of the angle. In this case, it's A, sorry. I didn't put theta in there. We'll say sine A. Okay, so if I plug it in, I'm going to take 20 meters and I'm going to divide by the sine of 28. So we have to get what the sine of 28 is first. So 20 meters divided by, take your calculator, go sine 28, and that's 0.469. Okay, and then when we divide that, 20 divided by 0.469, we get 42.6. Okay, so that's how you get hypotenuse. Okay, that one's using sine. Let's do one that uses cosine. So it'll be the adjacent side. So if I draw another one here. So if we take our triangle and draw it again. There we go. So let's say instead this time I had let's say that this was, let's say it's 33 degrees this time. Okay, and then here's our, and then our hypotenuse is there, and we want to find, or sorry, I called it x. X, and then instead I gave you the adjacent side. Let's say that this was 111 millimeters. Okay, so to solve it, we're going to go, okay, there's our angle. Well, this is our adjacent side, and this is our hypotenuse. Remember, hypotenuse is always opposite of the right, and adjacent is always touching the angle. So adjacent and hypotenuse, if we look at our formulas at the top here, that's this one here with the cosine. So H equals the adjacent side divided by the sine of A. Okay, in our case, that's going to be 111 divided by the sine of 33. So we've got to get sine of 33 on our calculator so we know what it is a decimal. 0.54 or 0.545. Okay, and then we still have our 111 on top. So we take our 111 and divide by 0.545 to get 204. Or in this case, x, because we called it x, sorry. So that would be 204. And that's basically how to do anything with finding the hypotenuse length. Okay, so far we've gone finding angles with tangent, or finding sine and cosine and tangent angles. Then we did finding sides, okay, using the opposite and adjacent sides of tangent. Then we did finding the sides, opposite and adjacent sides of using cosine and sine. Now we're going to be looking at finding the hypotenuse side. And then tomorrow or next day, we'll be looking at solving a full triangle, all sides, which would be the summary of all 6 or 7 days that we've done. Okay, so I'll give you a practice sheet with this that goes with this as well. And you can work on that today. It should be a fairly short period. And if you just follow those two formulas here at the top when you're doing finding your x hypotenuse. Remember, it's always opposite of the right angle. Good luck.